Okay. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna jump right into it.
I don't have pencil.
Oh, yes, you are correct. I am supposed to provide you some writing supplies.
Think.
All right. Okay. All right, so welcome class to Mr. Johnson's literary analysis. So we have one student today, Bella. So to start out, I'm just going to put some pictures up on the board here, and go ahead and tell me what you think of the pictures, what they mean to you. Here's this first one.
Light
The light. Okay.
and nature, and I think I see the movie.
You seen the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is from a movie.
I don't know the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's fine. I'm gonna put up another picture.
Okay.
So we've got light. Light. It's a bit of light. All right, nature. And that's not a very good marker, is it? All right. Nature.
I have good marker.
Yeah.
I have my marker.
Sure. The teacher was not very prepared. All right. Okay. Another picture. We've got
It's the mean lady.
yeah.
Yeah, she's cold
Mhm.
and blonde like me.
Blonde. Yeah. So blonde in the movie, right?
Yeah.
So blonde in the movie. It's from a book.
I don't
Maybe
know.
not blonde here.
It has a lion,
Mm-hmm.
the big kitty.
Right. Alright, what's going on in this picture?
Can't see.
Yeah, you can move up if you can see. So,
Oh, the animals.
yes.
They were giving food
Mhm.
to the kids.
Yes. So they're eating
Yeah.
some kids.
They're not eating the kids.
No, they're not eating the kids, that's right. They're eating with some kids. Alrighty. Got a few more pictures here. So this one is kind of a cluttered picture. So if you can't see it that well.
The man that was medium animal, half animal.
Mhm.
He's in there.
Yes.
I like him. And the big kitty, the lion.
Yeah, the lion. What do we think? What do we think the lion's feeling in this picture?
Sad.
Yeah. He's walking with
Oh, the mean
the
lady.
mean lady, yeah. This picture's not very clear. So if you can't tell what it is, that's fine.
Let me see.
You can see.
It's a tree.
Yeah, there's a tree in that picture.
And
Also-
it's broken.
Yes.
That's where the lion dead.
Yeah.
That's where he died.
Yeah. All right, so, yeah. All right, so you know the story, but I will go over it.
Yes.
So, here's some images from a book called The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
The lion. Isn't that a bad word?
No. So, we're gonna learn a word already. So we've got,
That's the bad word.
this is the bad marker. Alright. Alright. So, a lion is a big cat
The big kitty.
lying is, what do you think lying means?
When you are talking about something that's not true.
Right. Alright, so yeah, when you say something not true. Alright.
True.
Okay.
Which and war.
Alright. Okay. Alright, so today we're going to learn about the book The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, like I said. And we've already learned some words from it while talking about it. So in this story, the author of the book, the person who wrote the book, was a Christian, so that's important to keep in mind. So there are going to be some metaphors.
I'm a Christian.
Yes? Yeah, me too.
Really?
Yes.
Yay, Jesus.
But so there's going to be some metaphors in the book. So metaphors, and I will talk about that word.
Why it makes a like foam?
Yes, like foam.
Oh my
It's an
gosh.
F sound. So metaphors. All right. So it has metaphors for people and things from the Bible. So that's important to keep in mind when we are thinking about the book. So metaphors mean something that represents something else that is not mentioned. So we will talk about what certain characters and certain things in the book might be metaphors for different ideas. Yeah, Bella.
What is
Represents.
What is that?
So what does it mean when you see a stop sign? You stop, right?
Yeah.
So that's a sign, it's a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
It means you have to stop, you can't just go. It's kind of like a more complicated sign. So some of the, so this stone table here is a metaphor for things in the Bible. So this is a metaphor for, you know, this.
Oh, it's like the same thing but not.
Yes, like the same thing but not, to symbolize the crucifix, the cross. And so it also, at the same time, represents something else in that story. So what do you think it represents? The broken table.
Death.
Death.
Dead. It's the word starts with an S. It means when two things aren't together.
Separation. Yeah, separation from God, maybe.
Yes.
Also, a more literal thing in the story. So, remember so who was on the cross?
Jesus.
Jesus, yeah, we know Jesus. So Jesus was on the cross, and then after he was off of the cross, the stone rolled away from the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the sign that he was alive again.
So, because it's broken, that means the line's
Right.
alive.
We are jumping so far ahead, but that's because you're such a good student, Bella, right?
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yes. All right. So, all right. So I'm going to go over the story. You know the story so well, but I'm going to go over the general part of the story. I'm going to summarize it. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a fantasy novel about 4 siblings, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, who discover a portal in a wardrobe to a magical land called Narnia. Lucy finds this land first, then later Edmund, who is lured to greed by the wicked ruler of the land, the White Witch.
Mean lady.
Yeah, the mean lady. So the kids join Aslan, a good and mighty lion, to fight her, but he gives his life to save Edmund, and he is slain on a stone table. But he returns to life, and after defeating the witch, the children become kings and queens until eventually returning to their own world. So, there are some themes in the story. We talked about what some of the things in the story represent. So there's some themes in the story, words that we're going to go over, such as I'm going to take these down and move them over.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
All right. So, some themes. Themes. So, like ideas in the story, like the cross.
Oh, okay. Got it.
All right. Some themes like redemption, sacrifice, and good versus evil, good against evil. So we'll be thinking about these words, and we'll be going over what they mean.
Sacrifice.
So what we're going to do is we're going to read some
Ooh,
portions of the book.
I'm so excited.
We won't read as many as I planned, but that's all right.
What?
All right. So I'm going to. All right.
There's pictures.
Indeed. Some of the pictures were some of the ones we saw. All right, so you can follow along with me, and I'm going to read this section. All right. Not for me, said Peter. I'm going to explore the house. Everyone agreed to this, and that was how the adventures began. It was the sort of house that you never seemed to come to the end of, and it was full of unexpected places. The first few doors they tried only led into spare bedrooms, as everyone had expected that they would. But soon they came to a very long room full of pictures, and there they found a suit of armor. And after that was a room all hung with green, with a harp in one corner. And then came 3 steps down and 5 steps up, and then a kind of little upstairs hall, and a door that led out onto a balcony. And then a whole series of rooms that led into each other and were lined with books, most of them very old books, and some bigger than a Bible in a church. And shortly after that, they looked into a room that was quite empty, except for one big wardrobe, the sort that has a looking glass in the door. There was nothing else in the room at all except a dead blue bottle on the windowsill. "Nothing there," said Peter, and they all trooped out again, all except Lucy. She stayed behind because she thought it would be worthwhile trying the door of the wardrobe, even though she felt almost sure that it would be locked. To her surprise, it opened quite easily, and 2 mothballs dropped out. Looking into the inside, she saw several coats hanging up, mostly long fur coats. There was nothing Lucy liked so much as the smell and feel of fur. She immediately stepped into the wardrobe and got in among the coats and rubbed her face against them, leaving the door open, of course, because she knew that it is very foolish to shut oneself in any wardrobe. Soon she went further in and found that there was a second row of coats hanging up behind the first one. It was almost quite dark in there, and she kept her arms stretched out in front of her so as not to bump her face into the back of the wardrobe. She took a step further in, then 2 or 3 steps, always expecting to feel woodwork against the tips of her fingers. But she could not feel it. "This must be a simply enormous wardrobe," thought Lucy, going still further in and pushing the soft folds of the coats aside to make room for her. Then she noticed that there was something crunching under her feet. "I wonder, is that more mothballs?" she thought, stooping down to feel it with her hand. But instead of feeling the hard, smooth wood of the floor of the wardrobe, she felt something soft and powdery and extremely cold. "This is very queer," she said, and went on a step or 2 further. Next moment she found that what was rubbing against her face and hands was no longer soft fur, but something hard and rough and even prickly. "Why, it is just like branches of trees," exclaimed Lucy. And then she saw that there was a light ahead of her, not a few inches away where the back of the wardrobe ought to be, but a long way off. Something cold and soft was falling on her. A moment later she found that she was standing in the middle of a wood at nighttime with snow under her feet and snowflakes falling through the air. Lucy felt a little frightened, but she felt very inquisitive and excited as well. She looked back over her shoulder, and there, between the dark tree trunks, she could still see the open doorway of the wardrobe, and even catch a glimpse of the empty room from which she set out. She had, of course, left the door open, for she knew that it is a very silly thing to shut oneself into a wardrobe. It seemed to be still daylight there. "I can always get back if anything goes wrong," thought Lucy. She began to walk forward, crunch, crunch, over the snow and through the wood toward the other light. In about 10 minutes she reached it and found it was a lamppost. As she stood looking at it, wondering why there was a lamppost in the middle of a wood, and wondering what to do next, she heard a pitter-patter of feet coming toward her. That is where we ended that scene.
Pitter-patter.
Pitter-patter. So that, the sound of feet. So that is,
boom.
That's a very, I don't know if that is
Sounds. I like sounds.
onomatopoeia, which is a very confusing word.
Oh.
I don't even know.
All words are confusing.
Words are confusing, but it's essentially a sound that we make to represent another sound, like stomping of feet. All right, this next part. So that's Lucy going into the forest and seeing the lamppost. All right. The next part on the next page here, starting at where it says "just like a girl."
I see.
Yes. "Just like a girl," said Edmund to himself, sulking somewhere and won't accept an apology. He looked around him again and decided he did not much like this place, and had almost made up his mind to go home, when he heard, very far off in the wood, a sound of bells. He listened, and the sound came nearer and nearer, and at last there swept into sight a sledge drawn by 2 reindeer. The reindeer were about the size of Shetland ponies, and their hair was so white that even the snow hardly looked white compared with them. Their branching horns were gilded and shone like something of fire when the sunrise caught them. Their harness was of scarlet leather and covered with bells. On the sledge, driving the reindeer, sat a fat dwarf who would have been about 3 feet high if he had been standing. He was dressed in polar bear's fur, and on his head he wore a red hood with a long gold tassel hanging down from its point. His huge beard covered his knees and served him instead of a rug. But behind him, on a much higher seat in the middle of the sledge, sat a very different person, a great lady, taller than any woman Edmund had ever seen. She also was covered in white fur up to her throat and held a long, straight golden wand in her right hand, and wore a golden crown on her head. Her face was white, not merely pale, but white like snow or paper or icing sugar, except for her very red mouth. It was a beautiful face in other respects, but proud and cold and stern. The sledge was a fine sight as it came sweeping toward Edmund, with the bells jingling and the dwarf cracking his whip and the snow flying up on each side of it. "Stop!" said the lady, and the dwarf pulled the reindeer up so sharp that they almost sat down. Then they recovered themselves and stood champing their bits and blowing. In the frosty air, the breath coming out of their nostrils looked like smoke. "And what, pray, are you?" said the lady, looking hard at Edmund. My name's Edmund," said Edmund, rather awkwardly. He did not like the way she looked at him. The lady frowned. "Is that how you address a queen?" she asked, looking sterner than ever. "I beg your pardon, your majesty. I didn't know," said Edmund. "Not know the Queen of Narnia?" cried she. "Ha! You shall know us here better hereafter. But I repeat, what are you?" "Please, your majesty," said Edmund, "I don't know what you mean. I'm at school. At least I was. It's the holidays now." "But what are you?" said the queen again. "Are you a great overgrown dwarf that has cut off its beard?" "No, your majesty," said Edmund. "I never had a beard. I'm a boy." "A boy," she said. "Do you mean you are a son of Adam?" Edmund stood still, saying nothing. He was too confused by this time to understand what the question meant. "I see you are an idiot, whatever else you may be," said the queen. "Answer me, once and for all, or I shall lose my patience. Are you human?" So now we get to the scene where Edmund...
The mean lady!
Yes, mean lady. Edmund is in the world now. He's in this new world. And he has met the mean lady, the White Witch. Do we understand everything in that scene, do you think? Are there any words? I know that, so even for me,
Hereafter.
Hereafter. Yeah, so there's some words like that. Hereafter means, it's kind of an older English word. We still use it, but it definitely comes from kind of European talk, at least that's what I think. So hereafter, kind of 2 words kind of together. And just means everything afterwards. It means afterwards.
What about nostrils?
Nostrils.
Nostrils.
So the reindeer, you can see in that picture actually, nostrils, the
Oh!
holes in your nose.
Why do they have 2 words for nose?
So, it's in general the nose, and then the nostrils are the openings.
Oh, okay.
So out of their nostrils, the mist, the mist, their breath looked like smoke to Edmund. He's coming through and sees the White Witch, and I think he looks bald in that illustration, but
He's old.
just the reflection on his hair, I think. All right, so the next part, do you think you would like to read
Yeah.
the next part? So, for the next part, I'm gonna start. So at the bottom of the page, where it says, just as the frying pan, you can start there.
Where it says 4. Oh,
Right here.
okay. Just as the frying pan was nicely hissing, Peter and Mr. Beaver came in with the fish, which Mr. Beaver had already opened with his knife and cleaned out in the open air. You can think how good the new caught fish smelled while they were frying, and how the children longed for them to be done, and how very much hungrier still they had become before Mr. Beaver said, "Now we're nearly ready." Susan drained the potatoes, I like potatoes, and then put them all back in the empty pot to dry on the side of the.
This one's hard, so this is something I don't even really understand as an American person who didn't grow up in
Wrong gate.
range. So
Range.
side of the range. So it's like a term for like a stove, I think, or I'll be honest, it's old British stuff.
Old British word.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Lucy was helping Mrs. Beaver to fish up the trout.
The trout. Yes.
Trout. So that in a very few minutes, everyone was drawing up their stools. It was all 3-legged stools in the beaver's house, except for Mrs. Beaver's own special rocking chair beside the fire, and preparing to enjoy themselves. There was a jug of creamy milk for the children. Mr. Beaver stuck to beer and great big lump of deep yellow butter in the middle of the table, from which everyone took as much as he wanted to go with his potatoes, and all the children thought, and I agreed with them, that there's nothing to beat good freshwater fish if you eat it when it has been alive half an hour ago and has come out of the pan half a minute ago.
So we can stop there actually. So I think it's good to stop and ask. So do you feel like you understand this section?
He's talking about fish.
He's talking about fish.
And
for
potatoes.
Sure. Yeah. Now he's using some language. He's referencing the fact that you can kind of hear C.S. Lewis's, the narrator's words. He's kind of talking about, he says, I agree with them. Who is he? So
who is it?
So you can think of it as the author, he is saying, or the narrator. It's whoever is telling the story.
Oh, I know that guy.
Right.
Narrator.
So, but it can be, there's some confusing bits in here, there's some kind of.
What is stools?
Stools are like chairs. They're like chairs, but they don't have a back.
Oh, like at the bar stool.
Yeah, like a bar stool.
At the bar, you have a bar stool.
You been to the bar, Bella?
No, my family has a breakfast bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
What is except?
so that's the word accept.
Except. Oh, because before it's except.
Right. So accept means, so let's see, where's that in here?
It's I lost it. Let me look. It's in like half. It's next to Mrs. Beaver's.
Oh, okay. Okay, stools in the Beaver's house, except for Mrs. Beaver's own special rocking chair beside the fire. So Mrs. Beaver has, let me have that picture.
Uh-oh.
So Mrs. Beaver has a special chair, rocking chair, and they're all sitting on stools. See, I should have used the picture. But they're sitting on the stools, and those are all this, they're saying that all of the chairs are three-legged stools except for Mrs. Beaver's chair,
Oh.
which is special.
Because it doesn't look like
The
stools.
others, yes. All right.
Because it doesn't look like stools.
I'm going to skip the
There's the picture.
So you know the story. So we're going to move to. All right, I'll read this part. All right, so I'm going to go to this page here
What?
and start with. You have a trader there, Aslan.
What?
So this will be the 141.
141.
Yes.
Wait. Okay, I found it.
All right. You have a traitor there, Aslan, said the witch. Of course, everyone present knew that she meant Edmund, but Edmund had got past thinking about himself after all he'd been through, and after the talk he'd had that morning. He just went on looking at Aslan. It didn't seem to matter what the witch said. Well, said Aslan, his offense was not against you. Have you forgotten the deep magic? Asked the witch. Let us say I have forgotten, answered Aslan gravely. Tell us of this deep magic. Tell you, said the witch, her voice growing suddenly shriller. Tell you what is written on that very table of stone which stands behind us. Tell you what is written in letters deep as a spear is long on the firestones on the secret hill. Tell you what is engraved on the scepter of the emperor beyond the sea. You at least know the magic which the emperor put into Narnia at the very beginning. You know that every traitor belongs to me as my lawful prey, and that for every treachery I have a right to a kill. Oh, said Mr. Beaver, so that's how you came to imagine yourself a queen, because you were the emperor's hangman. I see. Peace, Beaver, said Aslan with a very low growl. And so, continued the witch, that human creature is mine. His life is forfeit to me. His blood is my property. Come and take it then, said the bull with the man's head in a great bellowing voice. Fool, said the witch with a savage smile that was almost a snarl. Do you really think your master can rob me of my rights by mere force? He knows the deep magic better than that. He knows that unless I have blood, as the law says, all Narnia will be overturned and perished in fire and water. It is very true, said Aslan. I do not deny it. "Oh, Aslan," whispered Susan in the lion's ear. You won't, will you? Can't we do something about the deep magic? Isn't there something you can work against? You can work against it." "Work against the Emperor's magic," said Aslan, turning to her with something like a frown on his face. And nobody ever made that suggestion to him again. Edmund was on the other side of Aslan, looking all the time at Aslan's face. He felt a choking feeling and wondered if he ought to say something. But a moment later, he felt that he was not expected to do anything except to wait.
Except.
Yep, there we go. We have the word "except" again. And do what he was told. "Fall back, all of you," said Aslan, "and I will talk to the witch alone." They all obeyed. It was a terrible time, this, waiting and wondering while the lion and the witch talked earnestly together in low voices. Lucy said, "Oh, Edmund," and began to cry. Peter stood with his back to the others, looking out at the distant sea. The beavers stood holding each other's paws with their heads bowed. The centaurs stamped uneasily with their hooves. But everyone became perfectly still in the end, so that you noticed even small sounds like a bumblebee flying past, or the birds in the forest down below. So I think that's where we'll stop reading today. We spent a little more time on the sections, but that's fine. We learned some new words. Are there any words in there or thoughts in there that you can understand? Earnestly. Yes. All right.
I know somebody named Ernest.
It can't be a name. Ernestly. All right.
I know that Lee means describer word.
Right. That's a describer word. So earnest is the main word, and it means to act in honesty with all good faith towards someone.
Shy?
Not quite. Means to do something. To do something the best you can.
Oh. Like.
To be earnest.
Try really hard.
Yes. Try really hard. That's a good way to put it. All right.
Oh, and hooves.
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 Hooves, yes. So on the feet of things like the reindeer,
Their toes.
they have like toes. They have like a hard foot.
Like a nail.
Like a big nail, yes. And on creatures like that, animals like that, they're called hooves. In that scene, there were the hooves of a centaur, which is a whole...
Is the medium man.
The medium man.
Half man.
A half man, yes.
Half man.
Yes,
I
so...
got my words confused.
That's all right. Yeah, a centaur isn't a real creature. It's a made-up creature. But it has hooves because it has horse feet. Okay, so I think that for now we're going to
Got the pencil.
yes, I'm going to give you this.
Name.
Thank you. So if you could look at those questions and think about them, answer them to the best of your ability, you can take a few minutes to do that.
How do you spell fought?
Fought, F-O-U-G-H-T.
is this word?
That word
Redemption.
is redemption.
It's up there.
So yes. So, redemption. So as we saw in the story, in some of the parts of the story that we read, we didn't quite cover everything. But we know that so Edmund, at first he comes to the world and he meets the Wicked Witch.
They said a G word.
G word.
Greedy.
Greedy. Yes, he is greedy. So he's greedy, and so he's easily tempted by the witch.
Like Judas.
Yes, like Judas. So, in the story, Edmund is easily tempted by the witch. And in one of the scenes we read, she wants something from him. What do we think? It's related to one of these words as well. So, she says she wants his blood. What does that mean?
She wants his blood.
Does that mean she'll just take a little bit of his blood?
No, she wants all of him.
She wants all of his blood, right? So, she wants his blood, she wants his life. So,
yeah, because she said she owned him.
yes, she said that she, by the rights of the deep magic, that she owned Edmund.
Or they would die in water.
Yes, they would die in fire and water. So, you know the story about the stone table. So, Aslan, I'm not going to read that section, but in summary, and as I said in the summary portion, Aslan gives his life on a stone table to save Edmund. So he gives his blood. He gives his blood, his life. So remember this word, metaphor?
Yes.
So blood means his life
Oh.
in this case.
It means something else.
Yes. So, and that's the same as it is in the Bible. You know, Jesus gives his blood, gives his life, so that he sacrifices Aslan.
He gives. Sacrifice is like giving.
Sacrifice, yes, is like giving up something.
I did that once. My sister was hungry and I gave her one of my McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Right. So you were giving up something to your sister for, because you care about your sister.
Yeah, I only gave her one. I ate all the other ones.
Now, Aslan gives everything. Aslan
life.
gives his life. That's a bit more than a chicken nugget.
Oh, his blood.
His life. For who?
Edmund.
Edmund, yes. So Edmund can be redeemed. So redeemed is like made new, so he was greedy. He wasn't a very good kid. But because of Aslan's sacrifice.
So he switches.
Yeah. Remember in the scene he watches Aslan as he talks to the witch and feels that everything it said he had a conversation with Aslan. And in the book we're actually not told exactly what the conversation was that he had with Aslan, but he felt that everything was right after that conversation. So Edmund is redeemed.
So he switched and got a new chance.
New chance, yes, that's very good. Edmund got a new chance.
Oh, you told me number 3. Edmund.
Right. So Edmund was kind of not so good,
Yeah.
but became good really through Aslan's sacrifice. Aslan is, so who's Aslan? Is Aslan good or
good.
evil?
He's
So
good.
Aslan,
He's good.
good.
Evil is the witch and Edmund.
Good. All right. My board is so messy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, peanut.
Yeah,
I
I'll
got
get better at
redemption.
that. But the White Witch is evil. She wants Edmund's blood.
Ew.
She, or if she doesn't get Edmund's blood, she says, well, you'll all disappear and you'll all die in fire and water.
Fire.
Right.
She's like crazy.
She's crazy evil, yes. All right. So we have some new words here. We have, what we've learned? We've learned redemption.
And earnestly.
Earnestly.
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Hereafter.
Hereafter. Anything afterbirds. Anything after you leave this class is
Hereafter.
hereafter. Except everything in the house was a three-legged stool except Miss Beaver's.
I ate
Sharon.
all my chicken nuggets except one.
Except for the one you gave your sister.
Yeah.
So it was your sacrifice. So, lion's a big cat, Aslan is a lion. But he's also not just a lion. We know that he's a metaphor
For Jesus.
for Jesus. Yeah. And, and blood is a metaphor for life, just as it is with Jesus in the Bible. So, very good. I think we learned some new words today.
That's like a lot.
That is a lot, but look, we went through it. And we learned those things all in this time here. So, do we feel like, so we learned some good words?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Thumbs up?
will need to study.
Yes, that's all right. That's all right. So go ahead and hereafter study until next time. And I will see you all next class.
Okay, bye.
Okay. I will keep this on recording, but just because
Okay.
maybe my teacher will like to see it. I appreciate you coming at it from the perspective of an emerging English learner. You threw me for a loop a little bit, but I had to adapt to that, which I really shouldn't have expected to have to adapt to that. My initial conception of this was to try to get some of my coworkers who are actually emerging language learners who do know much less English than you or I to be my people for this, but I just didn't work out scheduling wise. But thank you.
I'm sorry for being late.
No, it's good. It's good. I had to kind of think about how much reading. I feel like I had too much selected to read.
No, it's
I wanted
okay.
to pick certain points in the story.
I liked it. Your lesson was a lot better than my lesson.
What was your lesson about?
Creating clarifying questions.
Okay.
And it was aimed at second graders.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of was like, oh, let's shoot high. But I still just thought of that as being higher than it could maybe be. Because you can come into middle school after living, 15 years in Venezuela, and then that could be the experience. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can definitely feel there were some things that I know Dr. Eldridge will give me pointers on for sure. Do you have any thoughts about what I could do better?
Give them highlighters.
Give them highlighters.
Hard to. And then if you don't want to have too many, but if you could write down the names on the board or give them a name sheet.
Okay. Kind of like a working index of everyone involved.
Yeah, because names like Aslan, Edmund, White Witch might be hard.
Yeah.
That's it.
For sure. Okay. Thank you.